Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajacharya Astottara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 11, Text 17. Nimittamatram tatra asin nirguna purusharishabha vyakta avyaktam idam vishvam yatra bhramati lohavat. Nimittamatram tatrasin. Nimittamatram tatrasin. Nirguna purusharshabha. Nirguna purusharshabha. Vyakta vyaktam idam vishvam. Vyakta vyaktam idam vishvam. Yatra bhramati lohavad. Yatra bhramati lohavad. Nimittamatram tatrasin. Nirguna purusharshabha. Vyakta vyaktam idam vishvam. Yatra bhramati lohavat. Nimittamatram tatrasin. Nirguna purusharshabha. Vyakta vyaktam idam vishvam. Yatra bhramati lohavat. Nimittamatram tatrasin. Nirguna purusharshabha. Vyakta vyaktamidam vishvam. Yatra bhramati lohavat. Nimittamatram tatrasin. Nirguna Purusharashabha. Yatra Brahmati Lohava Nimitta Matram Tatra Sin Nirguna Purusharashabha Vyakta Vyaktam Idam Vishvam Yatra Brahmati Lohava Nimitta Matram, remote cause. Tatra, then, asit, was, nirguna, uncontaminated, Purusha Rishabha, the Supreme Person, Vyakta, manifested, Avyaktam, unmanifested, Idam, this, Vishvam, world, Yatra, where, Brahmati, moves, Lohavat, like iron. Translation: My dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is uncontaminated by the modes of nature, by the material modes of nature. He is the remote cause of the creation of this material cosmic manifestation. When he gives the impetus, many other causes and effects are produced, and thus the whole universe moves, just as iron moves by the integrated force of a magnet. Srila Prabhupada's purport: how the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead works within this material world is explained in this verse. Everything is happening by the energy of the Supreme Lord. The atheistic philosophers who do not agree to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the original cause of creation think that the material world moves by the action and reaction of different material elements. A simple example of the interaction of elements occurs when we mix soda and acid, and the movement of effervescence is produced. But one cannot produce life by such interaction of chemicals. There are 8,400,000 different species of life, with different wishes and different actions. How the material force is working cannot be explained just on the basis of chemical reaction. A suitable example in this connection is that of the potter and the potter's wheel. The potter's wheel rotates, and several varieties of earthen pots come out. There are many causes for the earthen pots, but the original cause is the potter, who sets a force on the wheel. That force comes by his superintendence. The same idea is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Behind all material action and reaction, there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says that everything depends on his energy, and yet he is not everywhere. The pot is produced under certain conditions of action and reaction of material energy, but the potter is not in the pot. In a similar way, the material creation is set up by the Lord, but he remains aloof. As stated in the Vedas, he simply glanced over it, and the agitation of matter immediately began. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that the Lord impregnates the material energy with the part and parcel jivas, and thus the different forms and different activities immediately ensue. Because of the different desires and karmic activities of the jiva soul, different types of bodies in different species are produced. In Darwin's theory, there is no acceptance of the living entity as spirit soul, and therefore his explanation of evolution is incomplete. Varieties of phenomena occur within this universe on account of the actions and reactions of the three material modes. But the original creator, or the cause, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is mentioned here as Nimitta Matram, the remote cause. He simply pushes the wheel with his energy. According to the Mayavadi philosophers, the Supreme Brahman has transformed himself into many varieties of forms. But that is not the fact. He is always transcendental to the actions and reactions of the material gunas, although he is the cause of all causes. Lord Brahma therefore says in the Brahma Samhita 5.1, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many causes and effects, but the original cause is Sri Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatamine. My dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. He is the remote cause of the creation of this material cosmic manifestation. When he gives the impetus, many other causes and effects are produced, and thus the whole universe moves, just as iron moves by the integrated force of a magnet. Here we find the continuing advice being given by Swayambhuva Manu in response to Dhruva's very extraordinary actions of attempting to wipe out all the yakshas for the actions of one yaksha. And we find Dhruva is very, of course, must be very agitated, must be very angry and aggrieved. And then one can ask oneself, how does one pacify or restrain or bring some reasoning to a person in that consciousness, in that mood? Have you ever tried to reason with somebody who's just flying off the handle? You may want to first bind them up in some way, But Swayambhuva Manu, with his amazing presence, his presence that's very pregnant with spiritual realization, very powerfully potent, and with his deep realization and intelligence, when you go through the range of instructions he's given to bring Dhruva Maharaj back to a position of sobriety, to understand what is what and what is not, you can see a very nice developing of his advice. First, he cautions Dhruva about what the hellish reactions could be for his actions, his extreme actions, and then he appeals to him to uphold the reputation of such a glorious family, and tells him that his actions are definitely not approved by higher authorities, by the laws of humanity which their family, promotes and wrote actually. And he also shows to him very clearly how his actions were lacking equality or equity in response to the killing of his brother by one yaksha. And then eventually Swayambhuva Manu starts to speak Bhagavad Gita, in a sense. The difference between the material body and the pure spirit soul. It becomes very philosophical. And then we eventually come to this verse, where he's basically explaining that nothing happens outside of the will of the Supreme Lord. Nothing happens. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by accident. That word accident is we don't want to get into the word accident, but sometimes we fail to understand when we see something happening out of any other cause, we call it an accident. But here, Swayambhuva Manu is very clearly outlining that everything is happening by the will of the Lord. Yes, his brother Uttama was killed, but there must be some reason, some cause why he was killed. What was the immediate cause of of Uttama being killed? Was that Yaksha playing out Uttama's karmic reactions that were due to him. That was the immediate cause. So for all of us, all living entities, whatever we go through, happiness, distress, pain, suffering, elation, whatever, the immediate cause is our karmic reaction. And then beyond that is the influence of the modes of material nature. This material nature which is ultimately set in motion and being guided under the supervision, the superintendence of Krishna. This is the ultimate cause. Therefore he is nimitta matram. Prabhupada translates nimitta matram as the remote cause. When something's very remote, you cannot really see its influence. It's a bit distant. It's beyond our eyesight. So Dhruva wasn't seeing it at that time, although he was, he was advanced enough, he was spiritually realized enough. But at this point in time, overcome by emotions, he was covered. He was covered for that period of time, that he couldn't see Krishna's hand in this. He couldn't even see the immediate cause. He was so covered. He just saw the Yaksha that killed, and what the Yaksha represented, so many other Yakshas. Like this. So, and here also Swayambhuva Manu, although saying ultimately the cause, the remote cause is Krishna, but is also qualifying it that even though Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is the cause of all causes, the Supreme Lord does not get affected or touched by the actions and reactions and the workings of material nature in any way. He's not influenced. And Srila Prabhupada provides a nice example. Of course, examples using material situations cannot fully explain the workings of the Supreme Lord and spiritual truths. But Prabhupada gives the example of the potter and the potter's wheel and the clay pot. You may have seen it, you may have done it in school. I don't know, anybody had that experience of a spinning wheel. And, well, I think in Prabhupada's vision, maybe, I'm not sure if he's referring to a wheel that's being spun through some other energy source or the potter's leg, but back in the day in India, they would use their hand and just spin. So they will start the wheel spinning, and on top there's a rod, and around that rod there's a lump of clay that has been placed there. And as the wheel is spinning, the potter, the person who put the whole thing into motion, is shaping everything. And eventually out comes a certain nice shape according to the desire of the potter. And then that pot, that clay soft pot, is put into the fire and it becomes hardened. In that way you get a clay pot. So everything is started by the Supreme Lord. In his manifestation as Karana Dakshaya Vishnu. Karana means, what does Karana mean? Another name of Mahavishnu is Karana Dakshaya Vishnu. He sits in the Dakshaya, the Akshaya, the Shayi of the Udaka of cause. So Karan, Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. So he is Mahavishnu, he is the cause. He's sitting, he is that Vishnu who's sitting in this causal ocean. The ocean of cause. He is the cause of all causes. And that is simply an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of Krishna, who's there in Goloka Vrindavan. So this Mahavishnu, this Karanadakshaya Vishnu, he is the cause. How does he cause things to start happening? He looks at this inert gathering of material nature. It's inert, and he just simply looks at it, glances at it. And that material nature becomes agitated. And from that agitation, everything becomes manifest. And eventually Lord Brahma comes along, and then he brings form and shape. But basically everything was started simply from this glance. Just like everything, the clay pot is created simply by the starting of the potter who starts the wheel in motion. So Krishna, he's not exactly like the potter, because the potter, we know, has to touch and shape and gets his hand messy. But the principle, the example being given here is to put the start to the circulation. Krishna in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he goes into some detail early on about how Krishna is doing everything, how he is doing everything. And eventually says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti. That this Prakriti, material nature, is functioning under my direction. Maya, my, Adya. Adya, my, higher. Adya means something that's a little higher. And Aksha means to see. Maya, I'm seeing what's going on from a higher position. So by my glance and my superintendence, my supervision, like the word supervision, vision means to see, and super means something that's higher, something that's greater. So Krishna is seeing from a platform of greater vision, greater perception, greater intelligence. He supervises. He's from a position of seeing. And by his will, everything is happening. But he does not get touched by it. So ultimately, so he's saying, yes, Uttama was killed. There's an immediate cause. There's a remote cause. The remote cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And material nature cannot just act. This Yaksha couldn't have killed your brother without the will of the Supreme Lord. Could not have happened. Likewise, the entire material creation, without the superintendence of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, cannot do anything. So this is in essence what this verse is saying. And even though it cannot do anything without the superintendence of the Supreme Lord, still the Supreme Lord is detached from all the activities in material nature. This is in summary. In a morning walk, one Srila Prabhupada gave his definition of what is God. He said, our definition of God is Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. This is a verse from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. That our Lord, he does everything, but he has nothing to do. In some traditions, some philosophical traditions, religious traditions, they have a perception that God is involved, he's doing everything, he's behind everything. And that's true, but it is an incomplete understanding. So Prabhupada is saying, our definition of God is Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Everything is going on by his will, but he is doing nothing. Karanam, karya means to work. He does no work. Natat samascha vyadikas chadrishyate. That there is no one to be found, natat samas, that is equal, the same as him, equal to him, or abhyadika, or greater than him. You can't find anyone. Parasya shaktir vividaya vishriyate. And from him, Parasya, from his person, from his Supreme Person, so many varieties, vivida, shaktis emanate. And using these shaktis, svabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. They give him, they provide him with intelligence, with strength, with knowledge, understanding everything. It's all coming from him. So Prabhupada says, this is our definition of God. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. He does nothing. All that he is actually doing, like this is one tradition, the Vedic Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, that's the Vedic tradition, that gives a description of God who does nothing but play. Now, when someone's attached, materially conditioned in the material world, to think that someone is so powerful that all he does is play is not a very attractive consideration. How can he be playing? That means he's lazy. Right? When we were children and all we wanted to do was play, our parents would have a problem with that. Right? Go and do something useful in your life, just playing around. Do something useful, beneficial, get a job, go and study something. But you can't tell that to Krishna, because Krishna knows everything and is doing everything. So he has a right to play all the time. It's like the advice sometimes given to children studying, whatever. Do what you need to do in order to do what you want to do. So you have to make the sacrifice. So Krishna's extent of his sacrifice in context of this material world is just to look at the material nature and sets everything in motion. And then he can just be blissfully playing in Vrindavan. And when he chooses to, for the Leela's sake and to show compassion to the fallen conditioned soul, he comes down here. And what does he do here? He does the same thing. He plays. This is Krishna, the original Adi Purusha, Swayam Bhagavan. Of course, then he manifests in other forms, like Vishnu and other forms, and he does some activity. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam. Like that. He does these things. So Swayambhuva Manu here is asking Dhruva to perceive the situation with a higher vision and not just lay blame and the basis of that blame act in such a devastating way to slaughter. There wasn't any number given that I can remember reading, but it must have been a lot of yakshas, probably thousands and thousands of yakshas. So to accept, he's asking Dhruva to accept a vision that's higher, the cause that is perfect, a cause that is exacting, and perfect and exacting. So we find that this verse is it can be seen as somewhat philosophically intense, right? It's a lot of stuff. And even I can see that even from my presentation, there's a lot of question marks that will come out. But what about this? But if Krishna is the cause, how can he be so detached? He's the cause. He's making it happen. It's by his will. So we have to understand that the nature of Krishna, the actions of Krishna, like what is being presented here by Swayambhuva Manu, we have to leave room for the understanding of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva means the inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference. This tattva. That Krishna is one with everything, but he's simultaneously different from everything. He is in everything, and then what else? Everything is in him. He is everywhere, yet Prabhupada says in the purport, yet he is not everywhere. So it can be seen as contradictory. This doesn't make sense, so let's reject it. Let's reject it. This is often very confusing. So whenever we talk about oneness and difference in relation to Krishna, we must always bear in mind that this concept is inconceivable. Inconceivable. And when we try to intellectually conceive that which is inconceivable, we will not be successful. How can Krishna be conceivable? How can the unlimited be conceivable? That means if something's conceivable, it means you can have a full understanding, all around understanding. Krishna is not like that. You cannot see the length and breadth of Krishna. You cannot go all around Krishna. He's unlimited. That which is inconceivable can only be understood, can only be conceived by the inconceivable mercy of Krishna himself. You can only understand it that way. You won't understand it through logic, through argument or mental speculation, or by studying or memorizing all these technical terms in the Shastra. You won't be able to. Like academics, they gather lots of information, they do gather a lot of data, they put it together, they organize it, they categorize it, and things like that. But even if you do that with all the information available in all the Shastras, in all of the material creation, still you cannot understand Krishna. It just won't be possible. It won't be possible. Of course, we should try to understand, we should try to know Krishna, but we should always understand that to fully or to know Krishna, that power of knowledge has to come from Him. And the only purpose for us trying to know all these things is to become more and more devoted to Krishna. So when one has that purpose in mind, then Krishna reveals, then Krishna allows. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. I can only be known, Krishna says, in full by one who is devoted to me. Only through devotional service, Krishna says, can he be known. That's the only way. So when we come to this understanding, when we try to know Krishna through the mood of devotion, the more we study about him, the more we learn about his qualities, his pastimes, his glories and so on, the more we'll realize that we can never ever know him fully. We can never really know him fully. And this then becomes the good foundation, a proper qualification to get some understanding, to inspire Krishna to give us some understanding about him. When we come to the understanding that I cannot capture Krishna with my tiny brain. I mean, when you think about it, what is our brain in comparison to Lord Brahma's brain? And Brahma, it said, he's made up of one material element, and that is intelligence. Imagine having a body made up of intelligence. Whew. That's quite something, right? But even our four-headed Brahma was minuscule in comparison to the other Brahmas that were worshipping Krishna. This Brahma had a paltry number of 4 heads. Oh, poor thing. Just 4 heads. Wasn't that intelligent, right? Wasn't that intelligent. So using all our mental, intellectual capacity, we won't understand Krishna. That's what scientists do. They apply their mental faculties, their intelligence, and they try to reduce Krishna to a formula. Right? They put it all together. Darwin's theory, theoretical physicists. They try to just work at formulas. They try to bring the entire creation, how it works, how it operates, how it came into being with a formula. Can't do that. You try to capture Krishna in that way, then Krishna will exhibit his elusive potency. Like Lord Brahma, after he tried to understand Krishna by testing, by experiment, right? And the Brahma Vimohan, Krishna bewildered Lord Brahma. That Leela was taken place. And what did Brahma pray? He said, my dear Lord, if someone tries to capture you by material arrangements, by material intelligence, it will be like beating empty husk of wheat. You beat the husks of wheat to get the grain out. So if you are beating empty husk of wheat, Lord Brahma is saying, what is the result that you'll get? The only result, he says, is the labor that you put into it. That's the only thing you get. You get nothing else out of it. So what's the point? It doesn't mean anything at all. It doesn't mean anything. So you get nothing but your hard labor. You'll get cheated. The only thing that can capture Krishna, that can measure Krishna, that can begin to understand Krishna is love. And when there's love, Krishna says, everything is then revealed. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Everything is revealed. And of course we know, Kartik time, when it comes, we are always reciting this verse. The story of Mother Yashoda binding Krishna. And Krishna uses his mother in a most amazing way to display this point. Of course, this is just sort of an external point in this pastime. That's this philosophical point that's being presented. how you cannot capture Krishna by material circumstances. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. We can put in the hard labor, the parishram, but what you have to have is Krishna's kripa, Krishna's mercy ultimately. That is most important. Mother Yashoda was trying so hard to bind Krishna, and each time she was coming up with 2 fingers short. It was coming up short, but always 2 fingers. Krishna was so consistent. Always 2 fingers. I was thinking years ago, if I was trying to bind Krishna, how many fingers short would I be? Not just 2, many fingers. Many fingers short. Because there's so many other things lacking in my consciousness in regard to capturing Krishna. Mother Yashoda only had 2 fingers, 2 short. Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj always comments about these 2 fingers. I can't remember where he got it from, but he says, it's always these 2 fingers too short. You know? He puts up these 2 fingers. And he said, one is our endeavor, and the other is Krishna's mercy. I think I got normal fingers, but of the 2, which is more important? Which is longer? The Krishna's mercy one. I won't show you all it alone because you all may take me up with some insult case to you all. But so Krishna's mercy is more important. So that as we are performing our duties, our endeavor to please Krishna, to serve Krishna, we must always be covering or supporting our endeavor with an appeal for Krishna's mercy. In everything we do, it's always strengthened. It's always carried by Krishna's mercy. Even though you may know how to sing very nicely, you may be a professional musician. We have seen devotees that are first-class musicians. They can come sometimes. They have learnt the prayer so many times. Ever happened to you? You've learnt the prayer so many times. Guru Vastakam. It happened to me a few weeks ago. I mean, I did it right, but I was confused whether I did it right. And I went to Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. Did I miss out that line? He says, no, you sang it. You did sing it. So Krishna took that away from me at that point. In every little thing we need Krishna's mercy. What to speak of trying to understand him? Every little thing. We may know everything about so many details in devotional service or even in our job, whatever. Without Krishna's mercy, we can fall flat on our face. Just like Brahma, he was the master of mystics. He took away those kids, he hid them away, came back. Hey, wait a minute, something's wrong, they're here. Went back, he saw they came back, they're here. Completely fooled. He was made to look really, really foolish. He was so embarrassed. So everything comes from Krishna Kripa. Everything comes from there. Also we find in the story, what was it? Krishna moving to Dwaraka. You know that story? Krishna, Mathura was being attacked by Jarasandha. He attacked him the first time, surrounded Mathura city. Krishna came out very easily, defeated everybody, killed all the soldiers of Jarasandha's army and just left Jarasandha, tied him up, brought him, and then released him. Such a great embarrassment for a Kshatriya. And Jarasandha was completely mortified and thought, you know what, I'm just going to give up my life. This was such a great embarrassment. But his advisors told him, no, regroup, do it again. That was a fluke. So like that, Jarasandha went how many more times? 16 more times. And what happened each time? The same thing. And the last time, what had happened was that a Yavana king, low-class king from the south area, south of Mathura, name was Kalayavana. He heard about Krishna and he was looking for people to fight that could match him. And Narada Muni said, go to Mathura, try and battle with them. They'll be worthy opponents. So Jarasandha was coming, Kalayavana was coming, and Krishna thought, this is not really good. So he made an arrangement, mystical arrangement, created the city of Dwaraka and moved all the inhabitants of Mathura to Dwaraka. And he came out himself to face the armies, or so that's what they thought. But all that Krishna came and did was, he walked out of Mathura, the city, into the army of Kalayavana, completely free of any armor, no weapons, and he was just walking casually. And everybody was so shocked. This Krishna is walking through them so casually. Kalyavana is like, what's going on here? And he started running after Krishna, increasing his speed faster and faster. And Krishna, it's described, is just walking normally. But Kalyavana is running and like doing an Usain Bolt, if you know anything about athletics. He's like the fastest man on earth, even faster than that. But he couldn't catch Krishna. But Krishna was just walking casually, and Kalyavana is sprinting. So it doesn't matter. You can move at the speed of the yoga, the yogi's mind. You can never come close to Krishna. So Kalyavana also saw that. Despite all his intense endeavor, he couldn't come close to Krishna. Of course, you know the story. Krishna led him through into the mountain cave, and that's where they saw Muchukunda, and Muchukunda killed Kalyavana. Then, like that. So no matter how expert we are materially, no matter how we organize, even spiritually, we can put a lot of intelligence, a lot of effort, using all the most amazing corporate skills, the science of how institutions work, and we find that in the GBC now we have one initiative called OgDev, Organizational and Development, OgDev, and it's very intricate. A lot of intelligence is going on. And we're fortunate in this case, we have devotees like Gauranga Prabhu and others who are so spiritually fixed and focused. But if someone just had to do that without a spiritual foundation, it would be a failure. Even in our service, our organizational service, we must be very sensitive to the mercy of Krishna, to the direction of Krishna in all that we do, especially in a spiritual organization. It's not just by all our intelligent scheduling and arrangements and organization and financial bookkeeping and whatever. We must have Krishna's mercy, the sensitivity of Krishna's mercy as we go. Because sometimes Krishna will arrange that we fail, even though we put the best effort in it, and we have to come back and think, yes, that was Krishna. Krishna has designed this failure to make me humble. He's designed it to make me humble, like that. And how would we know? It may happen repeatedly, then we get the message, or we get told, we get guided by senior authorities that tell us, hey, you know what, maybe just step off the pedal a little bit, take it easy on this one, or adjust it in this way. And sometimes we'll see that we're not getting the mercy of Krishna in the reactions we receive from the Vaishnavas. That's also there. So Krishna consciousness means to become conscious. When Prabhupada said that, first become conscious and then Krishna conscious, yes, he also meant it when you open the door, close it. When you switch a light on, if you're leaving the room, switch it back up. Those are there. But also to become conscious of subtle things that are not so obvious. To see how things are responding, how situations, how people are responding to my actions. Not only expecting people to see how I'm responding and to be sensitive to me, but also to be sensitive to everything else. Here, Dhruva, in such a gross way, he wasn't being sensitive to the understanding that Krishna is the cause of everything, that Krishna is trying to teach him something. He wasn't sensitive to that. And he was just wholesale killing, mercilessly slaughtering these yakshas. And Swayambhuva has to come and give him the philosophical understanding to become sensitive. So even in our lives as devotees, we need to see that sensitivity. And when we are sensitive in our practice, when we are sensitive in our engagement with each other and in our execution of devotional service, being careful and not dismissive to how Krishna wants things done. This is another important point. When Srila Prabhupada was training Jananivas Prabhu how to do Shalagram Puja, worship, he was showing a lot of technical stuff, and Prabhupada said, yes, love is found in the details of how you execute the service. Of course, we are not all about being super precise. We also want emotion, we want creativity. But there are details that we also have to consider, and love is found in the details of devotional service. We should never be dismissive. Oh, there's too many rules and regulations in ISKCON now. Where did all this come from? Actually, it's an interesting thing. I was listening to, you all heard of Rupanuga Prabhu, one of Prabhupada's first disciples? He was recently interviewed by Siddhanta Prabhu, who's doing amazing service for decades, Siddhanta Prabhu, by documenting on video the memories of all the various disciples of Prabhupada. And Rupanuga Prabhu starts counting how Prabhupada wanted this and how Prabhupada wanted that. All these details, the 10 offenses, how he hand-wrote all those initial rules for initiated devotees. And I was thinking, wow, if we have to sometimes we do take it overboard. I don't know where some rules and regulations come from. It does get a little, as some devotees said, don't try to be more Vedic than Prabhupada. You know? But sometimes we dismiss so many rules that when we go back in time and research it, we realize, hey, actually, this came from Prabhupada. This came from Prabhupada. We need to be careful. Don't just dismiss everything in the name of, oh, there's too many rules. We need to be spontaneous, you know. But we have to research how Prabhupada did things. But then we also have to be cautious not to be overly Vedic, more Vedic than Prabhupada. Just bring it back to what Prabhupada has given to us. Nothing more and nothing less. Okay, I'll stop here. I did want to read about the Panihati Chiradahi, Dadi or Dadi, Dahi they sometimes say, festival, but it is late and maybe we can do it some other time. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, Ravindra, Swarup Prabhu. Take it as a sign from Krishna, maybe. Karmana Deva Naitrena. Are the demigods working under Krishna's directions? Yes, they are. Just like these modes of material nature, they are overseen by various demigods. Like, who oversees the mode? Well, demigods, superior beings. In this case, one is not a demigod, it's the Supreme Lord. Who oversees the mode of goodness? Lord Vishnu. Who oversees the mode of passion? Who oversees the mode of passion? Lord Brahma. And the mode of ignorance is Lord Shiva. Like that. So they are working under the direction, under the will of the Supreme Lord. All the demigods, they are his agents. Prabhupada gives the example of the king, and he has a variety of ministers. So the king really doesn't do anything really administrative. He doesn't do. But rather these universal administrators, Indra, Varuna, Chandra, Surya, all of them, Pavan. Pavan is Vayu, the wind god. They are doing everything, keeping the universal affairs intact according to the desire and will of the Supreme Lord. So yes, they are working under Krishna's superintendence. Sometimes they do get a little carried away by the influence of the modes of material nature or by the influence of Yoga Maya. Like Indra sometimes gets carried away. Boy, he can get carried away. And he makes mistakes for our benefit. And Krishna instructs him, Krishna corrects him. So we learn certain lessons. Brahma even makes mistakes. Like he had that one bewildering experience with Krishna. And then another time he gives all these benedictions which are really too far out. And Krishna has to tell him, please don't do that again. Don't go that far. So like that, certain demigods, they do falter. But their faltering is divine in a sense, because it teaches us different principles of devotional service. Anything else? All right, so we can pause here. I do highly recommend, please do read about the Panihati Chiradahi festival. There's two parts to it. One sort of is the background for the actual festival. Is Raghunath. This is all about Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the most intimate disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spent many years with Lord Chaitanya, a long time. And it is by his diaries and his recollections that we have Chaitanya Charitamrita. It formed the basis of the Chaitanya Charitamrita being presented by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So in Madhya Leela chapter 16, there's a nice beautiful account of exchange between Lord Chaitanya and Raghunath Das Goswami. Some very important instructions were there. And then later on in the Antya Leela chapter 6, is it chapter 6? Yes, chapter 6, Raghunath Das Goswami gets an audience with Lord Nityananda. And a very beautiful, deep, humorous even exchange takes place, where in the form of mock punishment, Lord Nityananda instructs Raghunath Das Goswami, who had so much of wealth. His wealth could be compared to the Bill Gates of the world today. Heavenly level of wealth. Instructs him that as a punishment, you must feed me and all my associates chipped rice and yogurt and condensed milk. Now why it's humorous? Because chipped rice is such a cheap type of food. It's easily available. If you have no money, at least you can eat chipped rice. Like what did Sudama only have to give Krishna? Some chipped rice. A beggar can afford it. So he's asking this super trillionaire right, to give a feast of chipped rice. So it's a mock punishment, but it's a beautiful pastime, the way it unfolds. So it starts off, the background starts off of Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Raghunath Das Goswami, and how his instructions and mercy came through in this pastime of Raghunath Das Goswami being blessed by Lord Nityananda to get the eternal service of Lord Chaitanya in a very, very beautiful way. And yeah, so please read it very deeply and pray to the pastime. Pastimes are personalities. You can pray to the pastime, because everything in Krishna Leela is personal. So you pray to the pastime, you pray to the personalities in the pastime, that you can enter into the Chaitanya Leela more and more. We are very fortunate. We have, Prabhupada has opened the door for us into Chaitanya Leela. Right? The Leela is going on, and he's opened the door by giving us service, giving us his books, giving us the holy name, giving us engagement. Sometimes we walk through, we stay there for a while, and sometimes we walk back out. What we should pray for through this pastime is, please let me walk through Prabhupada, and please lock the door behind me. That even though I may sometimes want to come out, let the door be shut, multi-bolted from all sides, and don't let me out of Chaitanya Leela. Prabhupada did say, where is it? In one of the purports in CC, that this Krishna consciousness movement is a continuation of the Leela of Lord Chaitanya. So we're very, very lucky. So yeah, please take some time. It'll take you about half an hour maybe, to read the pastime. And yeah, pray to the pastime to enter deeply into Chaitanya Leela. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami ki, Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
His Grace Swarup Damodar Prabhu ki.